the difference between what great salespeople do and common salespeople forget to do. And so these are going to be things that, what the professionals do that you need to. Okay. Number one, okay, learn that we're actually supposed to be sifters, okay? We're not creators. We're not creating customers out of anyone and everyone. What we're able to do is sift through the type of customers they are and identify the customers that need to be converted and actually the customers that need to be sent to the back or deal with them later. So think of yourself as really an ultimate sifter of people, okay? Number two, what great salespeople do is actually we learn to ask permission to ask questions. Why do that? The thing about it is that when you ask permission to ask questions, what you're doing is not only giving the customer a chance to feel like, wow, okay, I'm initiating the authority in this conversation, but in reality, you're creating yourself to be an expert as you always do. What are certain ways to ask permission? So you're going to hit people with, hey, John, just a couple of questions so I don't waste your time. Okay. Other one would be, so John, let me ask you a couple of questions so I can best serve you. All right. Other question would be, John, let me ask you a couple of questions so I know exactly what your needs are. As you can see, even in these questionings, I'm using the word so. So is going to be used as a justifier. So you let them know why you're asking them these questions, and you're putting them in a position where it puts you as the trusted advisor, okay? When you just come into the conversation, just start asking questions after you become what they call a grand inquisitor, okay? Let's change ourselves from the grand inquisitor to a great advisor, okay? And when you're a great advisor, you ask permission to ask questions, and then you go from there, okay? Next thing, when we're asking questions, let's learn to asking questions in the right order. What do I mean by that? Guys, have you ever wondered why people will start off a question, maybe where you're from, how many kids you have, what do you do for a living, what did you say your kids' names were? That starts to get out of order. It changes the logical progression. Unfortunately, when you ask questions out of logical progression, what you're actually doing is setting a red flag off to somebody's brain that you're not an expert, right? When your doctor asks you questions, he asks you in a logical progression towards an end goal, right? When you're talking to an expert, they ask you questions in order, logical progression to get to a certain goal. Novices, unfortunately, what they do is that you ask questions, but you're like, oh, wait, I forgot to ask that. So let me ask that now. Oh, wait, that was out of order. Let me ask you that. Guys, let's learn to ask people in logical progression, and it makes you become more of an expert. Okay? Next, one of what great salespeople do is learn that they have to show the customer that they're actually listening through active listening skills, okay? Learning to nod your head, okay? When the prospect is talking to show that you understand, right? The understanding that you're gonna narrow your eyes and compress your lips when they're disclosing things that are important to them, right? Knowing that when you're narrowing your eyes, narrowing your lips, when they discuss a pain point, you're showing that care for them, right? Next, leaning forward, okay? Leaning forward when that person is, when you're asking a question that deals with having an emotional question, when you lean forward, you say, how did that make you feel? Lean forward when you're talking about that. What did that make you feel like? How did you get to that conclusion? Lean forward on them, okay? And then when you're asking them for a logical question, that's actually when you want to lean back, okay? So, if you put the numbers together, obviously, what do you think you're going to make from that? Leaning back, okay? In a sense, what we're doing is creating proportional space for them to think, right? Okay, it's logical. Let me give you space to think about it. But when it's an emotional question, I want to lean in. I want to get into your space. I want you to know that I'm here with you doing this emotional standard. So these are ways to do some active listening skills, guys. These are tips that what great salespeople do that you can add to whatever you're doing to make yourself better. Okay, this is TOG signing off. Okay. Hello and welcome right back to another amazing sales impact. Today, what I want to talk about is reasons why people struggle in any type of sales. Okay, one of the number one reasons why people struggle, people, is that you're not listening enough. Okay, unfortunately, usually when you're newer or not really an expert, you tend to over talk in the beginning. You tend to spew out all the stuff that you bring into the table, and you recognize that you're not actually listening enough. Okay, a way to avert this, the way to get better at this is prepare questions in advance and make sure that even when you from the beginning of your presentation to the end, you're making sure to put strategic questions throughout so that you make the customer have to talk to you. Okay, when you ask more questions makes you the expert. People think that you talk the most. Whoever talks the most is the one who's in control. Okay, let me tell you, let them talk. Okay, because most of the time they're going to tell you what to do to sell them. Does that make sense? Great. Next thing we're going to be talking about is not the understanding of why people buy, right? Unfortunately, we think that we as salespeople, you tend to overreach on all your features and all the stars that you guys have. But in reality, people don't really care about those things. People don't care what it is, but what it will do for them. So the understanding to focus on the benefits, okay? Focus on the USP, your unique selling point, what makes you different, okay? Those are things that are going to spew the customer, impulse the customer even more. So great people focus on these things, but unfortunately people who are struggling, they don't understand that they're actually talking about the wrong things. Okay, next thing is that, guess what, people are actually too timid, right? Unfortunately, you're scared around people, right? You're scared to ask for the sale. You're scared to ask for people's details. You're scared to ask people why. Okay, guys, you're in the business of people, and when you're in the business of people, unfortunately, being timid will only make you struggle. And so what you have to do is learn to think of yourself differently, and learn some mental pathways for you to get you closer, not so timid. Some of the things I teach guys a lot is that, guess what? Consider yourself a professional note taker. Don't fear the no, accept the no, be ready for the no, and know that, guess what? Every no is actually getting me closer to my yes, right? Next, embrace it, right? Guess what? Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? That's the mentality you need to have, right? And you know what? If there weren't enough no's, the yeses wouldn't be so valuable. So let's make sure we keep those things so that we're not so timid. Next thing, guys, it's the lack of follow up, right? How many people, because of being timid, you know, their unwillingness to follow up. Guess what? There was a Harvard Business School study said that the average follow up time is 6 to 7 times to actually get a sale, to actually get that meeting. Guys, guess what? Average people are trying 1, 2, 3 times and quitting. Maybe a better person may be doing 4 or 5. Guys, follow up consistently. The willingness to call back, the willingness to find it. Most of the things, these are based on timing. Not because they don't need the product, not because they don't like you. It's just the timing. So continue to follow up, okay? Trust the process, okay? Other things, guess what? They focus on negative things. They focus on things they can't control, right? They focus on, oh, my system, oh, these leads are the worst type of leads, and this is what I have to deal with. Guys, if you focus on what you can control, you actually get better at it, okay? Other thing, lack of setting daily goals, right? Unfortunately, if you're not being managed by somebody and you're in a business that's for yourself, you have to give yourself daily goals. How many prospects do I have to call today? How many emails do I need to go? How many people do I need to talk to? How many networking events do I need to go to so I can achieve my goal? Know your numbers and then set goals effectively. Yeah? Okay, other thing, maybe not knowing your product or your competition enough. There's just so many people go into industries and like, you know what, I'm just gonna start. Okay, cool. Wait, do you know everything about your product? Guess what? Your competitor does, okay? Do you know even about your competitors? Do you know the people who are the best people who are doing the most things and the same things that you're in? Let's figure out who your competitors are, what they're great at, what they're not great at, and how they're gonna do it. All right? Next thing is obviously is that good. And one of the last things is what? Their inability to embrace that you actually are a salesperson. You'll never be good at sales if you're scared to call yourself a salesperson. Guys, guess what? Sales is not a bad word, okay? Sales is what America runs on, okay? And guess what? If you get technical, 80% of millionaires all come from sales positions or were in sales positions, started in sales positions, or in sales positions. Guys, sales is not a bad word if you embrace it. Be a salesperson. There's nothing wrong with that. Make the right decision today so you can be great. It's just touch of greatness.